To start compounding your money, you first need to decide how much of your current income to spend and how much to save. This is the most consequential financial decision you can make right now. The more you spend now and make your current self happy, the less you'll get to spend in the future and make your future self happy. There is a trade off to be made here. Also, the more you save, the bigger your investment pool will be, needless to say. We'll come back to the present and future selves again in a short while. Let's first clarify what our goal is here. The goal here is to accumulate big enough investment portfolio as soon as possible so that you can earn the income you can live on even without working. And the goal is to be free from an uninspiring and soul sucking 9 to 5 job that you must do to make your ends meet, whether you like it or not. And finally, the goal is not to work for money but to make money work for you. The first step towards this goal is to decide how big your investment fund should be. That depends upon how much income you want to have when you stop working. I think it should at least pay for basic necessities such as food, housing, transportation, healthcare, and basic insurance. You can always aim higher. You might want to maintain your current lifestyle, or maybe you might want to add a few more luxuries and pamper yourself. Get a sports car, a second home, even make some donations. If you're very ambitious, you might want to be able to do anything anytime without having to work. Whatever your goal is, you can achieve it if you have the self control to do what it takes. Three variables will determine how soon you reach your goal. One, how much you save. Two, how much you earn. And three, your rate of return, the rate at which you compound your money. Let's talk about savings on this video. We'll talk about the other two in other videos. So how much of your income should you be saving? There's no right answer. It totally depends upon you. But the general guidance on this is that you should save a minimum of 10% of your income. Given how the economy is going, I recommend a minimum of 15%. And the older you are, the more you should be saving, especially if you don't have a lot of savings so far. You might be wondering, how can I possibly save when I'm barely able to meet my ends? You might be telling yourself, I cannot afford to save. Well, actually, given how things are going with the unusually low rate of return, which is expected to continue for a long time, and the huge deleveraging that is happening in the economy, you cannot afford not to save. Remember, we're living in a 401k world where we are responsible for our own finances. You cannot rely on the government, companies, unions, or anyone else. I bet if it's an emergency, all of us can find money if we really want to. Consider building your investment you can live off of to be an emergency. It's not easy, I understand, but I'm saying it's worth it. Imagine not having a boss. Imagine working wherever, whenever, and on whatever you want. Why is it hard to save? After all of us know it is the right thing to do. One obvious reason is low income. There is a threshold for expenses below which it's really hard to go. Some expenses like food, housing, transportation, healthcare, etc. are unavoidable. In addition to low income, there are three reasons why we struggle to save according to behavioral finance. Behavioral finance, which is a part of behavioral economics, studies psychological insights to understand the money mistakes all of us make. For instance, people in their 20s are scared of the stock market. Maybe they are scarred by the 2008 financial crisis. They stay away from it when this is the time to take risks both in your career and your investment portfolio. People in their 30s spend too much. They buy the biggest house they can afford, whether they need it or not, and experience lifestyle inflation. People in their 40s start withdrawing for their retirement accounts for big expenses, whether to support their parents or their adult children. People in their 50s wake up and start panicking about how unprepared they are for retirement and start making risky investments and so on. I can make multiple videos on all these other mistakes, and I will, but let's get back to the mistake of saving too little. The first reason why we don't save enough is that savings benefit our future selves, not our present selves. Future selves is you in future. It's something that you can only imagine. You cannot see now. Of course, there are some apps that let you do that, but you get my point. Future selves just don't seem as real as our current selves. Your current selves have hands that can put chocolates in your mouth and make you feel really good. You can only imagine yourself leading a life of freedom in future. That's too distant and that takes effort. But somewhere deep down within that, it makes sense to say. You just got to listen to that voice. To understand the problem of current versus future selves, consider the study that was conducted by Richard Thaler, a Nobel Prize winning professor at the University of Chicago, and Shlomo Benarzi of the UCLA Anderson School of Management. When a group of students were asked whether they wanted a banana or some chocolate for snack when they meet again in 2 weeks, a full 75% said they wanted a banana. But 2 weeks later, with the choices in front of them, 80% picked the chocolate. Self-control is a problem now. It's not a problem in future. It's the same with savings. We know we should be saving. We know we'll do it next year. But today, we go and spend. The second reason is inertia. Here's an interesting example that shows the consequences of inertia. Only 12% of Germans donate organs, but 99% of Austrians do. There are some differences between Germany and Austria culturally, but there are many similarities too. Almost 89% of Austrians speak German or its dialect. Despite the cultural similarities, why such a disparity in organ donation rates? It has to do with the way the application form at the DMV is worded. In countries with the lowest donor rates, Holland at 3% is actually lower than Germany. There is a small box that says, check here if you want to participate in the organ donor program. In countries with the highest rates like Austria, the form says, check here if you don't want to participate in the organ donor program. That's the reason. Nobody likes to check boxes. It's not that we don't want to donate organs. That little bit of inertia makes all the difference in the world. If a problem is too overwhelming, we tend to just freeze and do nothing. Or we do what's been decided for us. It's not our fault. It's just the way we are wired. The problem with organ donation is not that people don't care. They absolutely do. The decision to donate organs is difficult and complicated at multiple levels, and many of us don't know what to do. The same sense of inertia or the tendency to pick what has been chosen for us helps explain why only a third of American workers take advantage of the available retirement plans like 401k, though 59% have access to them. It explains why so few of us have made a financial plan for our futures. It seems complicated. We are not sure what to do, so we either go with the default, take huge risks, or do nothing at all. The third reason why we struggle to save is loss aversion. We hate to feel like we are losing out on something. To illustrate this point, the same researchers did a study in which monkeys were given an apple while scientists measured their psychological responses. The monkeys were very excited to get an apple. Then another group of monkeys was given two apples, but then one apple was taken away. They still had one apple, but the monkeys were really angry. We humans react the same way when we incur losses or when we lose something. Have you ever lost 10 bucks? It really hurts. We don't save because we frame savings as a loss. Saving sounds like you're giving up on something, but in reality, you're not. You're getting peace of mind and a large fortune in future. How do we save if we are mentally wired not to? The answer is a program or technique called Save More Tomorrow. So don't save more today, save more tomorrow, so that it's painless and you don't have to give up on instant gratification. We all can imagine ourselves eating the banana, volunteering more in the community, exercising more, hitting the like button, and doing all the right things sometime in the future, not now. All of us feel like this. Save More Tomorrow program is designed to be in alignment with this psychological tendency. Here's how it works. You agree to automatically save a small amount of your salary, say 10%, 5%, or even as little as 3%. This number is so small, you won't even notice the difference. Then you commit to saving more in the future, but only when you get a pay increase. With each pay rise, the percentage saved would automatically get a little larger. But you wouldn't feel it as a loss because you've never had it in the first place. Banazi and Taylor first tested the Save More Tomorrow plan almost 20 years ago at a company in the Midwest. invest. With blue collar workers said they couldn't afford to save any more of their paychecks. But the researchers persuaded them to let their employees automatically divert 3% of their salaries into their retirement account and then add 3% more every time they got pay raise. The results were amazing. After just 5 years and 3 pay raises, those employees who thought they could not afford to save even a single more cent were setting aside just under 14% of their paycheck. And 65% of them were actually saving an average of 19% of their salaries. Remember Theodore Johnson, the UPS man, who saved 70 million by saving 20% of all his paychecks and bonuses? You're close. This technique has been proven again and again. 60% of large companies in the US have it. Many of the programs nudges were incorporated in the Pension Protection Act of 2006 in the US. Save More Tomorrow is estimated to have helped double the savings rate of more than 15 million Americans. Find out if your company has this program. If not, show this video to the HR department and see if you can get one put in place. You'll of course need to go out and actually earn the raise, but once you do, you're free to earmark the full amount of the raise or just a portion, depending upon your circumstances. In some cases, if you work for a matching company, your employer will help to effectively double your contribution and you can accumulate your investment fund that much sooner. I'm including a Save More Tomorrow calculator by New York Times. See below. You might need a subscription for this. I've also included a free link to a retirement calculator. It's not a perfect substitute, but it should help. Even if your employer does not offer this plan, you can start by yourself. Save More Tomorrow is a painless and proven way to gradually increase your savings. You could start with 5% automatically going into your investment fund. I would encourage you to start a bit higher at say 10% if you can, and then commit to 3% more every time you get a raise until you reach the target investment rate of a minimum of 15%. You can implement this without pay raise also. Use it as a commitment device by increasing a savings rate every year in January, or every time you save money on something you buy. Say you get a discount or you find a better deal. Transfer the difference between how much you expected to pay and how much you actually paid into your fund. The first main takeaway is automate your savings. Save More Tomorrow works so well because you're saving in the future without sacrificing instant gratification. Another important reason why it works so well is that it is automatic. You should automate your savings. If saving feels like you're losing out on something, then enroll in Save More Tomorrow. If it does not feel like a loss, then great, you're way ahead. Set it up in such a way that a percentage of your income goes to your savings account automatically as soon as your income gets credited into your account. Consider saving as a bill you must pay. Make it the most important bill you pay every month. The best way to save is when you don't see the money in the first place. Once you don't see the money coming in, even though it is coming in and going automatically to the savings account, you'll be surprised how many ways you can find to adjust your spending. Willpower is overrated. Don't rely on willpower and trust yourself to move money to a savings account by yourself. Decide what percent of your income you want to save and automate it. The second main takeaway, save and invest according to a fixed schedule. It is important to save and invest systematically according to a fixed schedule. That schedule is monthly for most of us. You must invest every month because the laws of compounding punish even a single missed contribution. Don't think of it in terms of what you can afford to save. If you do that, you almost always save less than you can. Fix a percentage of income that you can stick with. You should increase that percent as time goes by, but do not decrease it. Be a bit ambitious about how much to save, but at the same time, don't put yourself in a position where you can suspend or even dip into your savings if your income slows down or if the money is tight. I understand saving money is hard. It might even seem impossible. Imagine the government increases taxes by 10%. You will complain that the government is stealing your money. You'll be very unhappy, but you'll find a way to pay and life goes on. So think of this saving percentage as a tax you choose to pay because the money doesn't go to the government but to your family and your future self. Hello and welcome to Mantravadis. I'm Sarat Mantravadi. I'll be making videos on personal finance and investing. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you're getting value out of it. It's really important to let the YouTube algorithm know that you're liking it. Thank you very much.